Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us again on Build and Banter, the official podcast by Proteor. My name is Mike Gorski. I'm your host. I have our co-host here, Ryan Beenders,
Hello.
and we have a very special guest today, my personal friend Karol, who's hanging out in Poland right now and is very active with the Ukraine initiative. How you doing, Karol?
I'm good. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. You've been so busy over there. I'm glad you could take an hour out of your day for us. You're doing so much over there to help the veterans out.
It's a lot of work, especially from Poland. When I'm not there yet, we have some people on the ground, but yeah, there's a lot of work. But you know about it. You've been there. You've seen it, and without your help, we wouldn't be able to do anything.
Oh, you're too kind, man. He's making me blush.
He's making you blush.
He's making me blush.
He's making you sound pretty good here.
Oh my god. I'm just trying to be like him when I grow up.
He's just trying to be like him.
So, Karol, you're definitely a rock star over there, helping everybody out in Ukraine, as many veterans as you can. I would love to hear your story. Like, how did you get involved in all this? Who is Karol? How did you get involved with Ukraine? I mean, I would love if you could start off, just give us a little bit of backstory about yourself.
Yeah, very briefly, Ukraine is very, very dear to me right now, and it should be to the whole free world, or people who cherish values of liberty, freedom, and self-determination. Especially being a Pole, so I'm from Poland, born in Wrocław, raised in Warsaw. So my background is primarily in politics and communication, this weird overlap. I worked both for European Parliament, for Netflix, for Vice and Vice News back in, well, 2010s when it was still cool. Yeah, I don't do. So this interesting kind of mixture of having worked with my camera, with seeing, exploring, and understanding the stories that people are living, and politics, which is basically hopefully trying to make lives a little bit better. I worked as an aide to a member of European Parliament when the war broke out in 2022. Actually, when the full-scale invasion, because the war started in 2014 with the annexation of Crimea, but when the full-scale invasion started in 2022, until then, Poland was, very, very supportive of Ukrainian struggle, but we didn't really feel it. We didn't really witness that firsthand, because we obviously saw the annexation, the little green men sent by Russia, but we never had that kind of visceral feeling. But when I woke up on the morning of February 24, and I think we have a collective trauma together with the whole world, probably seeing the bombs falling on a city that is 2 million citizens, Western metropolis, so to say, with Starbucks, with all the Apple stores and everything, and you see bombs falling on a city like that, and troops trying to enter and butcher the citizens. It kind of wakes you up. So at that time, I was working for Janina Hojska, who was the founder of Polish Humanitarian Action, and our activities in European Parliament were primarily focused since 2019. We're primarily focused on humanitarian development and kind of um, uh, refugee policy, so to say, in the EU. Uh, so I knew a lot of organizations on the ground. I knew a lot of the strategy that is being developed in the European Union. Uh, so a couple of days into the invasion, so together with my then girlfriend and a couple of other volunteers, uh, with an organization called Happy Kids. Check them out. They're amazing. They're doing great stuff with family foster care homes in Poland. We went to the border to pick up buses of kids trying to leave. Some of them even they were on the bus for like 2 or 3 days, leaving besieged Mariupol, uh, uh, some cities, Kherson, Kharkiv, cities really on the front line, really attacked in the first days from Kiev. So we were receiving buses and buses of kids trying to flee Ukraine, accommodating them in different facilities all over Poland, in hotels, in schools, etc. And a couple of days into the war, when we spent a couple of days at the border, a friend of mine, actually my best friend's dad, who used to work for Nobel Peace Prize, Lech Wałęsa, the first Polish president, he was his right hand in the 90s. He reached out to me saying that there are a couple of people who want to do something good in Ukraine, something humanitarian, possibly starting in Poland at the border, still seeing, you know, the movements of millions, thousands of people across the border. So we connected real quick. You've met them, you now know Bill, Frank, you know, the team. So they are a group of semi-retired lawyers. Mostly they've raised a bunch of funds and they just decided to come volunteer and help. So they arrived with like 30,000. They set up a GoFundMe. You can check it out. We can link it probably somewhere. The website should be ready by then. So they set up their GoFundMe. They raised like $30,000 before coming to Poland. So they were communicating, like posting photos and everything that they've been doing very diligently. They posted stuff on LinkedIn. You know, initially they wanted to volunteer with like World Central Kitchen or some other big NGO, or just donate the money to UNICEF. But they saw very immediately that that you can do so much on the ground, that there's so many gaps, so many niches in help that you could do. I'm not going to go into details, but you know, even the big amounts of money that we're pouring into Poland still left some very difficult gaps. Like for example, dry cleaners in the largest refugee centers on the border, like thousands of people going in and out, and they didn't have a single washing machine. So we bought a bunch of washing machines, dryers, and we just helped people, you know, get clean and get fresh. Well, anyway, so they left after a couple of days with 300,000 on their account.
Wow.
So we just basically, you know, discussed once they got back, hey, we got to do something more significant. If we can make a dent, not only a drop in the ocean, but make more ripples in the situation. Make a wave, yeah. We brainstormed a little bit. We figured out what we can do. We heard about the big problem with amputees, with amputations in Ukraine. Connecting the dots. Since they're from Houston, Texas, they connected with Baylor College of Medicine, Texas Children's. They have friends on the board. They have colleagues who are working, well, basically employees of the Texas Medical Center and Baylor College of Medicine. And one thing led to another. We met Mike Mizwa, who is the CEO of Global Health. It's a global health program run by TCH and Baylor. I think he runs like 17 clinics all around the world, mostly in Africa, but also in Argentina, Romania, doing mostly HIV prevention, hepatitis, etc., and OB/GYN care. But we heard about this guy, Jared Howell, who is also working for Ottobock at the same time, two hats, that he's developing this revolutionary and very fast and very easily scalable solution for 3D printing for sockets. And, you know, knowing how many and seeing actually in the hospitals how many amputees there are, and how far behind is the prosthetic P&O system in Ukraine. We just decided, well, let's pursue that path. Let's see what we can do with that. And again, one thing led to another. We met 2 years ago, or is it 1.5? 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's about 2 years ago. We met through Jared, and you know, even Jared works for, you know, Ottobock, and we're owned by Proteor. It's all right. You know, right? There's no hostility. Jared's a great guy. Yeah, he's been huge in 3D printing and helping us with our Chiron Max material and our 3D printers as well. But it's good that you see all these companies coming together to help these soldiers in Ukraine. Like, it's one thing to be like a competitor, but then when you're doing these humanitarian outreach programs, I feel like that's when like all the gloves come off. We all want to help each other out and just do what's best for the human. You know, we want to put people first.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like, you know, suddenly create a family of people with a shared cause, and obviously everyone is very supportive. And it feels like without a single piece, this whole project, which we'll definitely talk about in a second, it wouldn't come together without one single missing piece. Like all the people here are just essential. Everyone's input is just essential to making it happen. And it feels like we're only just getting started with this in Ukraine, but yeah, just that's a good teaser. Now you can put commercials in.
So when we're over in Ukraine, and are we allowed to say the name of the city? Should we not say the name of the city? I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, no,
For security, are we allowed to say
easily.
that? All right. So Uzhhorod is Uzhhorod? Is that
Yeah,
the correct way of saying it? Uzhhorod. I've heard two
Uzhhorod,
different
yeah,
names.
yeah.
Uzhhorod. So we go there. I meet you. I mean, I think it's fair to say you and I hit it off right away, right? I got off the airplane, and hey, this guy named Carol's going to be here. I'm like, who the hell is Carol? Like, I thought you were a girl. I'm sorry, I did. I'm like,
Yeah,
and then you show up with this mustache. I'm like, this is my guy. All right, this is my guy. Not nearly what I thought I was getting myself into. This is my guy, and we link up with Jared. We have fun, and we went the first time through Slovakia, correct?
yeah, I think so, yeah.
And from Slovakia, we went to Uzhhorod. What about here's something that I think a lot of people are interested in. How do you get a 3D printer into a war torn country? How do you do that? Because you had because we were working with Invent Medical at the time. They had the printer. We had transport from Czechia, I think, through Slovakia across into the border into Ukraine. How about that? Can you give some details on that? I think that's interesting. People say, how do you get a large printer through the border security and over into Uzhhorod?
Oh yeah, that was a big 2023 challenge, or was it 2024? No, 2023 actually, in November, late 2023, when we were trying to figure out how to get it across. Oh man. Trauma is coming back. Okay,
There was a lot of trauma.
there was a lot of trauma on my side, because there was a lot of bureaucratic work. So I'm not alien to bureaucracy, having worked in the European Parliament, which is, oh man. Um, I think Brussels is actually a bigger lobbying center than Washington DC, by the way. So this is just a side note. But yeah, so okay, so once we decided, once we settled on purchasing your printer, having tested different approaches, different ideas, but I think it was always yours. I kept hearing about that $50,000 one, or change the price if you increased it at that point, right now. But this $1,000 printer, we knew that it was probably the easiest way. We heard that it's durable. We heard that it's packable on one pallet, and we just decided, okay, let's go. Let's go ahead and ship it. So it would be technically, in principally easy to get it from the US to Ukraine, because we would avoid the EU customs and importing it to the EU. However, we needed to have it tested in Czechia at Invent Medical. So that would require us to import a massive, printer, a massive device into the EU, with all the customs, with all the VATs, and putting it into use in the EU, and then exporting it to Ukraine and paying all the fees and customs again. And that would defeat the purpose, because we would have to pay like 120% probably, or like 100% extra of the value of the printer, because we would have double tax, we would have the customs, we would have this and that. So, well, together, again, it's an amazing, not a coincidence, but it's an amazing feat when people come together for, again, just to help others. So we didn't have an NGO registered in Poland, but under temporary rules, you could import devices that are meant to support the Ukrainian communities in Europe, or fleeing the war from Russia. That's how the legislation goes. So we were able to get that caveat, that law, with a lot of paperwork with the customs officer, with the Ministry of Finance, with this and that. So basically, I got a declaration that this is for humanitarian purposes, and we can start in Czechia. Also, there were a lot of questions, why not in Poland, this and that. We started in Czechia for a couple of months. They tested it. They foolproofed it. I don't know what else. Uh, Basically put together the whole package, the software and everything. And then we had to move it to Ukraine. That was also a challenge in its own. But there are many, again, many volunteers grouped together in networks, in NGOs that are just willing to help if they hear that they can participate in something as as significant, impactful as this. Then you have a lot of hands on the deck. So I connected with one of the volunteers that I've heard of, that he's been doing an amazing work going to Izium, to all the frontline cities. He has a car with well, basically a truck that would be able to carry it across. He lives in Krakow, which is like kind of halfway between. I mean, he would have to drive to Ostrava, where Invent Medical is, and then all the way through Slovakia to Uzhgorod. And then crossing the border is never easy, and there's still a lot of bureaucracy. There's a lot of shady deal making. If people see that it's a valuable product, then even though all the borders are closely monitored, you have to have someone who knows what is going on and who is your champion, kind of. So we also had a champion at the border, a guy who it's everything is legal. He just had all the paperwork beforehand, and we were able to get it across and secure it in Uzhgorod. And then Uzhgorod, we had to, over the many months, we had to establish this relationship and trust. Actually, frankly, the director of the hospital, Yuri Yatsina, he put a lot of trust in us. Just imagine a bunch of Americans in one Pole coming over to a hospital and saying, "Hey, we're gonna, you'll have your own prosthetics manufacturer." And they haven't done any prosthetics manufacturing in the whole region. So imagine a state. It's a big state. Zakarpattia is a big, as they call, oblast, and they haven't had a single prosthetic manufacturer by then. So we came over, we said, hey, we might be able to develop this. If you want to participate, let's work together. And yeah, it's the relationship is only growing.
It was, for me, as a Westerner, going to Czechia, being with you at Invent Medical, and hearing, okay, we're going to transport this larger scale, our Icarus platform across the board. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm thinking like a liftgate truck's going to come. I'm thinking a shipping company's going to come. This guy shows up in a blacked out SUV and a landscape trailer. Now, to me, whatever. I'm a very blue collar guy. I love it. Ideas get stuff done. I have no problem working with that. But like, I know what to expect. I'm used to us just shipping stuff with a freight trailer.
Yeah.
Can you just imagine? Like, all right, we're going across the borders. Blacked out SUV shows up, a landscape trailer. You take the Lowe's or Home Depot to get soil on the weekends. And like, all right, we're putting this this printer on that trailer. But we've done so much dumb stuff here. We've done so much dumb stuff. I didn't even flinch. I went, all right, let's go. Get the ratchet strap. Let's go. Let's just get this done. The single axle landscape trailer is going through Czechia. It's going through Slovakia. Now it's going through Ukraine. I'm like, what the hell is going on right now? I did not expect this.
Yeah. And your machine, I mean, there are a lot of bumps on the way. It's not a perfect, I mean, you've been to Europe, but we have highways, right? Those are nice highways, but
They're
also
nice
sometimes
highways.
you got to go off the track. And the trailer didn't have any like extra suspension, like, so we were very worried that the machine would get off the trailer in pieces, but nothing happened to it. Like it traveled for, what is it, like 900 kilometers, probably 900 kilometers to Uzhgorod, and nothing happened. It was as new. There were no bolts, no loose screws, no nothing.
Yeah, it was all. See, that's where Darren, our production manager, comes into play. He torqued those things down.
Of course, yeah.
It all worked out. So, can we talk about? All right, so let's. I'm trying to paint a story here. You and I meet in Czechia at Invent Medical. That we're going through the border. What about people who are interested in getting across the border in general? So we got lucky the first few times because we had diplomats with us, Bill and Frank. So we got through pretty quick. They wove their special card. They waved it. The special card got us through right away. And then one time you and I tried to get across, by our dumb selves. We're like, all right, we can do this. We can try to go across. What, 5 hours, 6 hours? We're just sitting in our car, just sitting there. Like, what is going on?
Yeah. It's a nightmare. That's not a trauma. It's crazy. Sometimes okay, so these borders they used to be very crowded but the kind of bureaucracy and the willingness of people on the ground were, it was, mm, how should I put it? Okay, situation at the border is like a barometer, like a thermometer of bilateral relationships between the country and the other country. So whatever happens in diplomatic relations. So when Czechia elected like a Slovakia elected like a pro-Russia president, the borders just stopped. They were checking everyone's pants, everyone's jackets. You had to take everything off, and that stalled everyone. So I think we also crossed the border one day after we had some like Polish Ukrainian spats over history or something. So it's crazy how sometimes you can go across the border in 15 minutes, and then sometimes you get oh, we were also taken to the side by the Polish guards. Okay, so my car is already
Yes.
flagged. Oh,
Yes.
that's the one. So
So
my car
yes,
is
so that
already
that was the worst one, right? So I
yeah.
remember when we were there, it was Poland, right? We're coming out of Poland,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and
yeah.
and so we're going from Ukraine to Poland, and this woman just looks at me. This border security officer just looks at me, and she just looked at me, and you can just tell she's like, "You're mine." You're mine. Like that was what I saw a little speech bubble come out of her head, and she just went, "You're mine," out. And I'm like, oh god damn it, here we go, here we go. What the hell's gonna happen? Clearly, she saw I was an American. We have very patriotic, or we have the U.S. star on our hoodies. We have the flag on our back, the flag on our sleeve. It's OD green. Very patriotic. She sees it a mile away. We just stuck out. So
Yeah.
she pulls me out, and are you American? Of course, I say yes, and that was a bad idea. So I tell her I'm American, right? And right away, are you here for war trophies? I was
Yes,
like,
exactly.
what? I'm explaining, we're here to help you. I'm with Karol here, saying how we're doing humanitarian aid and prosthetics. She did not buy it. This woman thought I was there for war trophies.
Yeah.
Can you explain to me what war trophies are? Is it bad that I don't know what that means?
No, not at all. Karol, how would you define it? I would say, because you're coming in for weapon casings.
Is it like to sell or
spoils? Kind of like spoils of war. Like you're stealing people's
Okay.
Yeah.
stuff. Maybe you're taking rifles, ammunition from the war, trying to sell it back in the States, people's personal goods.
Oh, so they didn't catch you doing that, right?
Oh, thank God, no. I mean, no, I was able to hide everything very, very well. No, of course not.
Yeah, of course.
But I mean,
Yeah, no.
so she takes me over to X-raying. So I get a whole body X-ray on the border of Poland at what 1 a.m. because we were already there at 8.
Yeah.
I think it's midnight or 1 a.m. now after staying in our car for about 4 or 5,
Yeah.
4.5 hours.
Yeah.
She gives me a full body X-ray, clean, not good enough, right? Because the other woman is giving you a hard time, right?
Yeah, yeah, takes the car. I mean, so I didn't know that before, but they have a system, and it's basically like an AI system that flags your car. And because I've been crossing with my car and with my passport so many times, also in a single day, so that they think I'm kind of whatever, like I take
Smuggling stuff. You're
smuggling,
smuggling
yeah, like
stuff
a
back to the
smuggler.
USA through me.
Exactly. And then, with different people, with different guys, different nationalities and everything. Jesus, it sounds like, yeah. Well, we're running a company here. Okay. So we crossed the border and, we got flagged, and you're kind of not military, but the olive green, whatever.
Very
It's like,
American patriotic, right? Yeah, very
yeah, very
American.
American.
So
Yeah. First
they
question, do you have guns? Do you have guns? You have
yes.
guns, right?
Yeah, you have
You have
guns,
guns.
right? Americans
No,
have
no,
tons
no,
of
no, we
guns.
don't.
Not on me. No,
Yeah.
no.
You don't have guns with you? Yeah.
So they do the X-ray on me. I'm clean. Karol's clean. So we thought we're out of there. All right, we're already like 5 hours in. We're out of there, right? And then I believe it was my security guard once we got in just looked at you in the eye and just pointed over, and she goes there, and I was like, oh my god, what could they possibly be doing now, right?
Yeah.
They X-ray his car.
Yeah.
Now, what they called an X-ray though for Karol's car, it was two guys actually like going into the fenders, into the engine compartment. So it wasn't
told me
actual
about
like
this.
X-ray with technology. Yeah, but it was just two guys with gloves searching the car, popping off the panels, going underneath the fenders, the wheel wells, looking behind the wheels, anything we're smuggling out. And I was like, what the hell is going on, man? Like, why are they making this? Like, we're trying to help people, right? And this is so damn difficult to try to
Yeah.
help. Try to help. Poland was just really ruining our day that day.
Yeah. Yeah, I always want to be an advocate for my country, but what happens at the borders is really, really annoying. I mean, it's a very ungrateful job also, because you're trying to catch people doing something like you probably have a quota that you have to find some people smuggling something, and they force you to like look into everywhere. So it's just very well, I feel for these people, but at the same time, they're doing their job. But
Yep.
yeah, they could be nicer if you know that, if they checked me like 15 times already and there was no red flags, no even whatever they call beige flags, there was nothing, everything clean. Well, just let me go. Just let us go. Let us do our work. But in Ukraine, on the Ukrainian side, it's mostly it's usually easier. Or let me put it this way, because if you say that you're doing it's something for the veterans, you say Slava Ukraini, they know what you're here for. Sometimes you can have obviously a bad apple, but usually they understand what you're there for.
Well, and Slava Ukraini is what we laser etched onto the Icarus when we sent it over there. Remember that?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
all the Ukrainians who were doing the prosthetics saw the Slava Ukraini, and they were like, "Oh my God, this is awesome!" Like I believe the one guy actually got a little teary eyed when he saw like this little business in Pennsylvania thought far enough, like, let's work with these guys, let's have a connection with these guys. It was emotional. It was when they
Yeah.
unveiled it and they saw that, they're like, wow, they really put a lot of thought into this. They really want to help us. So it was a really good, just feel good moment that we're really going out of our way. I'm sorry, not going out of our way, but we're going out of our way to make sure they're super taken care of. Let me say that we want to make sure every aspect of anything they could want. Does the printer look good? Is it customized for them? Is it operational? The right materials? We want to make sure we're delivering that whole package for them and let them know that we have their back.
Yeah, yeah. And it's amazing. I mean, you probably feel that as well, but the gratitude that you receive, it's always just heartwarming, so heartwarming, and so generous, how little. I don't want to be like this, colonizers, but how little sometimes some of these clinics or some of these hospitals have, and you're bringing hopefully the best, technology, and you're helping them do the work that they really want to do. They want to help their boys, their soldiers, the people, the guys that are fighting for their freedom. And you always hear, oh my God, thank you. I mean, we know that US will never abandon us. This is amazing. So this is also very rewarding, like on a personal level.
Yeah,
Just beautiful people, beautiful hearts.
even like a lot of my friends, my family were like, "Wait, you're going to Ukraine, Mike? Why are you going?" I'm like, "You just do it because it's the right thing to do." And personally, I can't explain that to people. Like, it's almost like people who go to war, right? We're not going to war. We're doing humanitarian stuff, but you can't really explain it. It's just you have to experience it, and once you experience that feeling of helping people, seeing, looking in their eyes, seeing them walk again, seeing them explain to you, "Oh my God, I couldn't walk. Now I can walk again. I got my prosthetic." It's just that feeling, that emotion. I don't think you can accurately describe that. You just have to experience it. But once you do experience it, you're like, I gotta go again. I gotta help these people. It really
Yeah,
just laser etches itself into your soul.
yeah, yeah, I agree. And then yeah, these are, obviously heart melting moments in difficult times, but also, I remember when we were at the cemetery, in the military cemetery in Lviv. That was one of the I haven't been to that cemetery, or any large cemetery in Ukraine, since the beginning of the war. So that was the first time when I went there with you on the
All Saints
how do
Day.
you call it in the US? All
All
Saints
Saints
Day.
Day.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. That was rough. That was an emotion. That was rough.
Yeah, that was, yeah, I mean, no words, just rows and rows and rows of graves. And yeah, everyone that we work with, every Ukrainian knows or has a family member who's lost their life, someone who lost a limb. So it's just being able to at least help a little bit in a country so torn, so ravaged, is you know rewarding, and also, yeah, moral duty. I don't know.
Yeah, it was one of the hardest parts for me when we were in Lviv. It was probably 11 o'clock, almost midnight. We're at the All Saints Day. We're at the cemetery. Beautiful job. How they decorated it with, every soldier that was buried had a flag. Beautiful flowers, beautiful lights. But having seeing the families, talk to them. That was the worst part. The worst part. That was just them
Yeah.
giving, just talking to their son, talking about the family, giving them family updates. That was rough. That was the hardest part to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, young women sitting by the graves of their husbands or boyfriends or siblings. It's yeah,
And they're all young. They're all early mid 20s. They're young.
yeah. Graves like guys younger than me, seeing like 20s or something, and also 50 and 60 because
Yeah.
they just decide to fight for their country, for their freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But all
so
right,
that's why
let's
we're doing it,
that's right.
definitely.
That's why we're doing. All right, so let's talk about something positive, right? The actual,
Yeah.
component of helping people. So we're in the Uzgorod Hospital. We're getting our first patients. We're seeing them walking again. How would you say you've seen our technology have an impact in Uzgorod, right? I don't want to be biased and say, oh my God, we did all this stuff. I don't want to be biased at all, but what would your objective statement be on you seeing these rapid prosthetics being printed, right? In only an hour or two, we're printing prosthetics, getting people walking, seeing the expressions from the soldiers. How would you summarize all that? Like, what would you say about that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I gotta say that to me initially, until I saw it and understood it entirely, I thought, just like all the people that hear about it, I was like, no, 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 it's too good to be true. It's impossible that you can make someone, get on their feet in 3 hours. Like there's no way. There's no way. Uh, and it is possible, and it's making. Again, we're only just starting. We actually jumped uh, head first. Would that be the adage? Yeah, we jumped head first, and our team consists of uh, 4 physiotherapists. So Ukraine has a massive it has a massive need for amputee care and prosthetics and orthotics, and they only have 37 certified prosthetics engineers, uh, and for the whole country, for the country of 35 million right now, and approximately 80, maybe 90,000 amputations. So obviously, a lot of NGOs, a lot of organizations are trying to make an impact, but they're usually making it through uh, external or components sourced from okay, let me put it differently. Most of them, 95% of patients that are receiving limbs are receiving through traditional methods. So you can probably explain it better, but it takes weeks to get someone on their feet. And in a situation where everything changes so quickly, where the front line changes very quickly, where their families, for example, have to leave or they want to visit their family abroad, 2 weeks is a long time when you're waiting for a limb. And the system is obviously not designed to handle such numbers. The payment schemes from the National Health Service is not equipped to do a lot of to equip everyone within the budgets that they have. So when we're bringing something that gets you on your feet for $500, or once we actually got down to 400, but we were using better feet right now, so it's probably like 6 or 700. So if you can get someone on their feet for $700, which is it's just amazing, with such low uh low or little need for education. Obviously we need to better align the prosthetics. I don't want it to sound like we're amateurs and doing this and that. We're continuing training, but basically our patients are feeling even some of them are feeling more comfortable in our prosthetics than in the high end, $12,000 ones that they got from abroad, from Germany, or from super high end manufacturer doing laser this and that. And we're just giving them something comfortable, light, super light. All of our patients are commending the socket, because they say it's the lightest they've ever felt, and that helps them get back on their feet. That helps them with rehabilitation, helps them with everything. So it makes a massive change, and the fact that we can deploy it so easily once we perfect the system, because we're still in the process of getting it getting it right. We are getting it right at times, but we want it to be consequently 100% right.
Right.
And once we develop it to the second and third location, I think we'll be able to prove that, listen, guys, like we can, not in 10 years with the current capacity, but in 2 years we can equip everyone with prosthetics.
So, not to give a shameless plug here, but you would say the material you're using is CPX Chiron Max, correct?
Yes, indeed.
Got to make sure everybody knows that. It's got to be a shameless plug.
This is, yeah, Chiron Max. It's amazing, and it's also beautiful. People love the look of it, you know.
Yeah, only
Not
available
only
through
not only
Proteor.
the comfort.
Yeah, only available through Proteor.
Yeah, and when so we had a conversation with the next clinic that we would be working with, and he couldn't believe how little a maintenance, and then b how efficient the spools can be, that we can get again for such a low cost and at such capacity. We can equip people with their feet.
It's great, man. I can't believe what you're doing, and I'm happy that you just decided to include me. You know, I have a little say in this, just a little say, but I'm glad I can come over there, you know, spend time with you and work with you in Ukraine and do these amazing things. So thank you, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for including me with that.
No, thank you for giving us this opportunity. Like seriously, it's changing lives not only in the US but also, you know, the people here all over the world, and hopefully we'll be able to scale it. I mean, I'm sure we'll be able to scale it uh, with a different machine and with a different system. It would be much more difficult or even impossible. So yeah, happy to be on this journey. And you know, again, I'm not coming from a technical background. I don't have any prior prosthetic knowledge. So being a part of something so significant, not only for Ukraine but for the whole world, is yeah, I don't have words for that. It's amazing. I would never imagine in my life that I would be able to be a part of something so significant. So yeah, looking forward to seeing you in Stockholm
Yes, I was
and
gonna
seeing
say.
all
I was gonna
the
say next. Yes, about ISPO. So
He let that in better than I could.
I know
have
he
ever done it.
really worked at it well on that
He
one.
did
I
really
was
good.
gonna do a leading question, but you know he went for it. I love that. That was a great segue. So we have ISPO coming up. So we'll be in Sweden, and you're gonna be there as well. So
yeah.
you're gonna be able to see all the cool things that Proteor has coming out, what the whole industry has coming out with. We're gonna have some new hardware there on display. I'd love to show you, talking about our newer printers as well.
Mm.
So with you going to ISPO, is there anything particular you're looking for here, or just trying to see what the newest, latest, and greatest is in the prosthetics world?
Yeah, I just want to understand the whole market a little bit better, probably. I want to see. I really want to meet the Proteor family. Sophie, you know, she's been very gracious with offering the training for prosthetists, or our PTs, as we have with the PTs, with people who are working with the machine. Uh, so yeah, and components also. You know, we have a very difficult time sourcing components. Ukraine is, even though there's such a massive need, it feels like they're the distributors, or the sole distributors for some of the companies like Otobok. Otobok has already established, for example, an office in Ukraine, but they're not able to ship large quantities into Ukraine. So even though we were, you know, asking for weeks and weeks about this or that feet or that liner, they were delayed for weeks.
Oh
They
no.
couldn't get it. There's so many bureaucratic issues. So the fact that we can source, you know, together kind of with in the package with the printer, and kind of bundle it together is also a massive difference. And it's in Europe, which is helping us a lot,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. We can definitely help you out with that. I'll make sure you get whatever you need.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember last year, I think it was the ISPO was in the US last year, or was
I
it a different conference?
I don't believe so. No, I don't believe last year it was. This is my first ISPO. It's
Okay,
actually
okay,
everybody's
okay.
first ISPO, so we don't know what to expect. So we're looking forward to having a good time.
Oof. Okay, well, that's amazing. But I remember you, just one brief side note. I remember you, I think you called me. It was late at night in Poland. like, I mean 1 a.m., and you called me and you said, "Oh my God, we just got the results." You were at a conference, definitely, and you met with
Yes,
someone who
we
did.
were at the AOPA conference in Charlotte, North
Oh,
Carolina. That was this past
that was
August
it.
or September. Yeah. Yep. We
Yes.
got it, man.
And you called me, yeah, exactly. You called me, we got it. We got it. I'm like, what are you
What are you
talking
talking?
about?
I'm
Like,
trying to sleep. I'm trying to
what do you
sleep. What do you
have? I'm
want?
trying to sleep. So you said, and you said, yeah, or you can go into the detail of what happened, but I just remember your emotions and your happiness. And also, I could hear tears in your eyes with the
Yeah.
happiness.
Oh, I teared up. I did because this was a long project between myself and Mitsubishi Chemical Group. We spent years doing this, and Proteor was the first to put it through the test that they did in the fashion they did, and it passed. And I was like, wow,
And it
this
passed.
how many
Yeah,
years
exactly.
of work has this been? And it passed. It was crazy.
Yeah, I remember that moment very, very vividly. Yeah,
And you were half asleep.
and I was half asleep. Yeah. So that's incredible. I'm so happy that this, I could see it from probably not the beginning because you started many years ago and you put so much work into it, but to see it grow and see it, um, or actually see the opportunity that we can see the opportunities that it has so that we can do the world a little bit less fucked up, terrible is amazing.
Exactly. So we're almost out of time here, but Carol, just real quick, what's next for you and I, right? So we're looking at putting more 3D printers out there, helping more soldiers in Ukraine. Is there anything you can say what we're doing over the next few months? Because I know July or August, I'm planning on coming over there, hanging out with you, going back into Ukraine, helping some more soldiers. So is it safe to say the game plan is more printers, more Chiron Max, get more soldiers on their feet? What do you think?
Yeah, exactly that. We're in discussion. So we're in discussions with other hospitals and prosthetics manufacturers in Ukraine. We'll be moving to it's not a secret, Vinica, which is kind of a medical hub for Ukraine. It's in central Ukraine, which also helps with logistics and everything. So we're partnering with rehabilitation unit and public manufacturer there. They have all the experience and all the knowledge in prosthetics. They even make like hand stitched,
So
Sewn.
sewing, sewn leather prosthetics. Which when I sent photos to Jared, he was like, "Oh no, I haven't seen that. I saw that like right after World War II, but since then, I don't think anybody's used them, and they're still making that. Ladies sitting and sewing." So they also have some experience in 3D printing, but on a very small scale, not for lower limbs. So we'll be partnering with them, and then at the same time we have a resources and probably capacity by the end of August to deploy the third printer. Um, I think it would be Lviv because we just want to make as much impact as possible, and Lviv is kind of this hub with Unbroken and Superhumans, these two massive centers helping, well, not only soldiers but a lot of civilians as well with different types of surgeries and prosthetics rehabilitation. So we'll be partnering with them to streamline their processes, also gaining knowledge. Superhumans and Unbroken are organizing a lot of trainings for potential um, P&O technicians, for PTs, for rehab specialists on how to work with amputees. So we want to tap into that local knowledge as well, because there is a lot. And just like a friend of mine who's a surgeon at UPenn and San Diego Naval Surgical Center, he said that the best orthopedic surgeons are right now in Ukraine. Like you will never find for many years to come, they will be the best. They will be training the whole world on how to do free flap surgeries, how to correct amputations, how to save limbs basically, because they have such a massive load and so many operations. So,
damn, man.
so yeah.
I'm looking forward to coming back and over to you. And if it's July, if it's August, if it's both months, doesn't matter to me. I want to make sure that you're taken care of and we have your back with everything.
Yeah, thank you so much. I know it. I've experienced that, and we'll do it.
We're doing it, man. So great. I mean, I think that was probably our best podcast. What do you think, Ryan?
Probably, yeah. No, that was awesome. Just hearing about. I know I didn't talk too much this time around.
That's why it was the best.
That's probably why it was the best. But just getting to hear you guys talk about your shared experience, and Karol, you talk about your experience of how you've gotten into everything and your journey that's led you to this point. It's just been very. I don't want to say eye-opening because we've had these conversations before, but it is a bit eye-opening for someone who doesn't know, right? Like, I have no idea what you guys could have really seen or what you guys really could have, felt when meeting these people or seeing people grieving over their children, their boyfriends, their husbands,
Yeah.
So it's a great podcast to listen to, especially just an eye-opening one, if that.
Yeah. So, Karol, for the foundations that you're working with, if people wanted to check them out, donate, how would they do that?
So one is kind of the first mover, so to say. It's Mission for Ukraine, all letters, missionforukraine.us. That's Bill Frank and 500 people who are donating, who are supporting our endeavors. That's probably the first kind of entry point for this. You will find a GoFundMe donation method, and also a donation through 401. So no, 401k 501. 501. What's the name of your of the NGO registration? 501c3.
501c3. Yep.
Yes, 501c3 through a church in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, which is tax exempt. So there are ways to support and learn more at GoFundMe and missionforukraine.us. So I know that Baylor College of Medicine and Texas Children's have been publishing some materials also from the trips, from the surgery of a pediatric patient from Ukraine that they've conducted. So you can also you can Google Baylor College of Medicine Ukraine. You will find some information about our programs. And yeah, I sometimes feel like I'm not the right person to be talking about Ukraine because I'm Polish and there are so many Ukrainians doing it much better. But then at the same time, Poland wouldn't be Poland. It wouldn't be free without US support, without the support from America, all the way through communism. I mean, going back to First and Second World War, but through communism, then getting out of communist bloc, joining NATO, joining the Western civilization, so to say. So now Poland is able to help Ukraine to be the conveyor, the older brother for another nation. So yeah, I got rid of that was a complex of that complex. Yeah, we're here to make a change, and I think we're doing it.
It's working, man. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. I'm looking forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you, Ryan, for being our co-host as always.
Of course.
And thank you, everybody, for tuning in and listening. This concludes our next episode of the Build and Banter podcast, the official podcast of Proteor. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Thank you. Thank you so much, guys.